Also, when you're watching a project, you want to feel like the characters or representatives that you're seeing of yourself on screen are relatable or attainable. So it's hard to develop some sort of admiration or connection with women when they're written very two-dimensional. And
remember when Jenna Ortega spoke out a few weeks ago about how she feels modern female characters are written? She didn't hold back, calling them two-dimensional and boring. Well, right after that, Disney revealed their upcoming movie Snow White, which honestly sounds like it's headed straight for disaster. And guess what? They're changing the classic Snow White story to give it a modern twist. Rachel Zegler, who plays Snow White, even mentioned that the character has been totally reworked to be more assertive, strong, and a leader. Basically, everything Jenna Ortega said she can't stand about how modern female characters are being portrayed these days. Now, I'm not gonna jump to conclusions, but based on Disney's recent track record, this isn't looking great. I mean, just think about Rey Skywalker in Star Wars. They tried to create this strong, empowering female lead, but she ended up feeling flat, right? And then there's Indiana Jones with Phoebe Walker-Bridges' character. They pushed for a powerful female figure, but instead she came off as egotistical and, well, pretty unlikable.
Are they with you?
Not an inch, Miss Shaw. Miss Shaw, stop! Sorry.
These are exactly the types of characters Jenna was criticizing during her conversation with Ellie Fanning. And here's the thing, Jenna Ortega made an important point. These characters just aren't relatable. It's like, how are you supposed to feel a connection with someone who seems so alien? They're portrayed as perfect and flawless, never making a mistake or facing any real challenges. They're born knowing everything, and it seems like the only troubles in their lives come from other people, not from any personal struggles or growth. Honestly, it's hard to admire someone who's so unrealistically perfect. This approach is a huge issue, especially with what they're planning for Snow White. When characters seem superhuman, never facing setbacks or failures, they become hard to relate to. We've all met people who inspire us because they're resilient and have overcome challenges, not because they've had a smooth ride. Real heroes aren't born, they're made through trials and perseverance. Now, think about the messages this sends, particularly to young viewers. Disney seems to be saying to young girls, here's your role model, a leader who never has to earn her stripes, never has to grow or learn. That's a lot different from the way role models used to be. Remember Rocky or Luke Skywalker? Those guys had to fight, fail, and grow. They were aspirational because they showed that hard work and resilience pays off. But with these modern takes, they're telling kids, you're perfect just as you are, no need to change, no need to grow. That's not just unhelpful, it's harmful. It breeds a mindset that doesn't value personal growth or the importance of overcoming flaws. And that's really dangerous because it can lead to a generation of young people who think the world should adapt to them, not the other way around. We should, of course, accept everyone regardless of build, race, or gender. That's not the issue. The problem comes when there's a narrative that you don't have to work on your flaws, that you can remain static and the world will adjust. That's not a reality, and it's certainly not a message we should be endorsing. It's not just about building strong characters, it's about building realistic, inspiring ones who mirror the struggles and triumphs of real life. And right now, it looks like Disney's missing the mark. And here's another massive problem Jenna Ortega pointed out about these so-called perfect characters. They just aren't attainable role models. It's pretty unrealistic, right? Disney and other media outlets are showing this ideal of a woman who's flawless in every way. But let's be honest, no one can actually live up to that. It's setting an impossible standard.
Whistle while you work.
Think about it. When young women and girls watch these characters, they might think, well, that's not me. I'm not always sure of myself. I mess up. I have flaws. And feeling that gap between themselves and these on-screen perfect women can really knock their confidence. It's like being told you're not good enough because you're not like these fictional characters. And that's harmful. It can make someone feel less of a woman, less strong, less valid, and that's just wrong. Now, don't get me wrong. It's totally possible to create amazing female leaders on screen. But the trick is to write them with depth and nuance. Show that they have flaws and that they face setbacks. This makes characters relatable. It's why we connect with them and root for them. Look at the iconic male leaders in film like Michael Corleone in The Godfather.
That's for you to find out.
Get rid of them, Fredo.
Hey, Mike.
Fredo, I'm here on business. I leave tomorrow and I get rid of them.
He was far from perfect, but he was a great leader because he was complex. He had to grow, to challenge himself, to overcome his own issues. That's what made his character so compelling. And that's exactly the kind of female characters we need more of. Real, nuanced ones that viewers can actually learn from and empathize with. Jenna Ortega hit the nail on the head calling many current characters two-dimensional. They're just flat and honestly pretty dull. Some are career-driven, some focus on family, and some have different passions, and that's perfectly okay. We need stories that reflect this diversity, not just one stereotyped image of what it means to be a woman. So if the industry wants to champion female leadership, great, but let's do it right. Let's create characters that show the real, varied, complex nature of women. Characters that grow, that struggle, and ultimately that teach us something real about life. That's the kind of storytelling that can inspire everyone, and that's what we should be aiming for. And another thing that really gets me is this idea they push that if you're not this fierce, independent girl boss type, you're somehow less important. Like if you're more focused on family, then you've somehow been brainwashed by the patriarchy. How messed up is that? It's sending such a harmful message. Why can't we just accept that different women want different things? Some women want to focus on their careers, and that's fantastic. They should have equal opportunities and equal pay, no question about it. But some women prefer to prioritize family, and that should be equally celebrated. It's almost like these movies are telling women that if they don't fit into this specific mold of what Disney thinks a strong woman is, then they're doing life wrong. And that's just so damaging. You can't empower women by putting down one group in favor of another.
I'm sure a lot of people will assume it's a love story just because we cast a guy in the movie. It's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024.
Not all women want the same thing, just like not all men want the same thing. By forcing these one-dimensional characters onto the screen, it feels like they're actually bringing more women down than lifting them up. And let's be real, if you want to create strong female characters, at least make them entertaining. Why do so many female-led movies feel so dull and lifeless? It's because these characters don't face any real struggles. They don't have an arc. There's no growth, no story to follow. If there's nothing at stake, why should we care? It's the same issue we saw with the recent Star Wars trilogy. Those films weren't even fun to watch. The latest Indiana Jones movie, same thing. Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character was so irritating and self-centered that I just checked out halfway through. If they want us to connect with these characters, if they want us to see the power and complexity of women, they need to make these movies enjoyable to watch. Give the characters some depth, give them challenges, and make us root for them. Jenna Ortega totally understands this, and that's why when she was working on Wednesday, she spoke up. When she saw that the script was pushing her character into some dumb tropes that didn't fit the story, she didn't just roll with it. She actually went to the writers and made changes because she knew her character wouldn't act like that. She stayed true to the source material, and that's exactly what we need more of in this industry. Actors who put the story first. Because, in the end, it's the story that matters most. That's how people learn and connect through good storytelling, not through being lectured. You want to send a message? Tell a great story and let the audience figure it out for themselves. No one wants to be hit over the head with a lesson. If Disney had taken this approach with Snow White and actually given us a nuanced, relatable character instead of this flat, two-dimensional version, people would probably love it. So stop lecturing us and just give us a good movie. If it's good, people will connect with it. And if it's not for everyone, that's okay too. But let the movie do the talking.